like the idea of taking things that we have a negative connotation like shame. And if there's some way to harness shame and spin shame so that you get shame becomes productive, I want to discover that.
Yeah, I'd like you to discover that. Have you thought about that one in particular? Like, is there
Oh my
anything?
gosh. This last week, I run a workshop and the workshop kind of ran away. And it was just a lot of crosstalk, a lot of people battling over one particular piece of writing that was presented. And I called the workshop to order in a kind of blunt way. And later, through Discord, one of my students came on and said, you were really out of bounds and you made one of the members cry after the fact. And you need to apologize and blah, blah, blah. And I felt so enormously shamed. But then I thought, I kind of like this because after you've had your period in the shower and all the girls throw tampons at you, you got nowhere to go but up. I could get used to this because we spend so much of our time resisting being shamed that when we actually do get slammed down, I've told people this before. I wish I could call room service and say, would you send a waiter up? Send up the biggest waiter you got, because I just want him to slam me across the face, to just knock my idol down so I don't feel like I'm the center of the universe, and just put me back in that zero place. Because there's such freedom in that zero place where you're not trying to look good and you're not trying to dominate. You're just kind of, it's like a fresh wake up.
But won't you just rebuild back to that same state?
Not if you get to 0-0. I think it gives you have a freedom in that moment that you can either, Soren Kierkegaard, have you ever seen A Chorus Line?
No.
The Broadway musical, A Chorus Line?
Is it the one with
Michael Douglas?
No, then I definitely haven't seen it.
That's the movie.
I was singing a cabaret. So no, I have not seen A Chorus Line.
What, were you raised in Tacoma?
I was raised in Tacoma.
In a cave
yes,
in Tacoma?
Like basically, yes.
In A Chorus Line, it was a Michael Bennett musical on Broadway for a million years. And then it became a movie in the 80s. But it starts with hundreds and hundreds of dancers all auditioning and try to dance identical. And then out of those, maybe 20 are chosen. And then out of those 20, it becomes very kind of Gestalt therapy, where they're each asked about their personhood, their childhood, why they chose to be a dancer. And they each kind of tell a self-explanatory story through a song. And so you have the songs that are a ballad song or a rising spirit song or a comedy pattern song. And so each of them emerges as an individual. But then in the third act, they all fall back into this complete synchronicity. And they completely kind of submerge their individuality again in the desperate hope of getting a job in this synchronized chorus line. And so getting back to your point is when you get to that zero, you can choose to be the same, but you know from that point forward that you've chosen inauthenticity. Or you can choose to do things differently. Because at that zero, you have the awareness that what you're doing is a choice. If you do build back, then if you do build back the same without knowing you're doing so, then you never reach zero.
What should people build towards?
What calls to you? Or what frightens you? What are you the most afraid of failing at? That is the thing you should be doing.
Why? Why the thing you were most afraid? The amount of misery that's going to put you through. Why that?
Because when you reach the end of your life and you go, wow, I'm really glad I did all the easy things, that's not going to be any kind of comfort.
But really, so I'm gonna think through this without, by the way, I'm not sure that what you're saying is the wrong idea. It might be exactly right. But now let's think through neurochemistry matters. And if you haven't done this sort of monastic work to make sure that you're detached from the outcome, pursuing that kind of thing for somebody who needs a self-narrative that makes them feel good about themselves, if they really are afraid of failing at that thing, their identity is completely tied up in it. They think their self-worth is tied up in it. That's the very thing that makes them afraid to fail at that. In pursuing that thing without learning the sort of mental model of not being attached to the outcome, that this is, in using my language, this is about skill acquisition and, you know, the attempting to get better, I could see how that would be a terrifying journey for people.
Your point being, it's not supposed to be a terrifying journey?
That's interesting. So for you, the whole point is get scared, or the whole point is that fear will open something up. The coping mechanism you will use will be something profound, useful?
The fear is the thing that validates that you're doing the thing that means something to you. Because if it didn't mean anything to you, you wouldn't feel the fear. You'd be like, I didn't win Miss America.